What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of VR365. This is a very special episode. I have two guests, and it was impromptu style. I woke up this morning, had no idea what I was going to talk about, and what do I do when it's like maybe light news or I'm not sure what I'm going to do? I go to the guests because the guests will save me. And the first guest I actually thought of was Jay Pase. I don't know if you guys remember, but a long time ago, we had Jay Pase on the show, and I believe it was audio only, wasn't it? Was it audio only, Jay?
Yeah, audio only. You have I sent some pics in, and you just revolved through some pics. So, yeah, and it was a while ago too. So I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, those are the early days back when I really didn't know what I was doing with a lot of the Skype stuff, and I was having technical difficulties, and we just started doing audio only for a while. But yeah, now we got video. We've improved quite a bit. We've entered the year 2020. And I've also got Chris Richardson live. Chris Richardson has been a reoccurring guest. It's kind of like the Tonight Show or whatever, you know, and you have this one guy that just keeps coming on the show. Chris is my recurring guest. How's it going at the epicenter, Los Angeles? What is the live news?
The live news, it's crazy. It's all burning down.
Normally, we would do like an actual interview show, but I've actually got topics. I've got news stories to possibly get into here. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get into these different news stories, and then I'll get your guys' opinions on what is going on here. So first things first, let me go ahead and grab a trailer for our first news story of the day. And this is, I think, a pretty interesting situation that we found out about. Now, this, of course, is Rony Abovitz, the CEO of Magic Leap, apparently is stepping down. He is leaving Magic Leap, and they're currently in the process of trying to find a replacement CEO. Now, in your entire lives as human beings on this planet, have you ever seen a company that didn't have an established product yet, and the founder, the visionary, the guy behind the product, like they get it all going, they're just getting it started, they don't even have like a real product that is really out there in the true sense of the word, and the CEO, the visionary, the guy that came up with the whole entire thing is stepping down? Like, that is really bizarro world to me. Chris, what do you think about this? Rony Abovitz, is he like the first rat to jump off the burning ship?
Interesting. Well, he seemed like a bit of a carnival barker. And, and I imagine with all the ups and downs that company has had lately, somebody had to, pay the piper. But didn't we have something similar happen with Oculus, where the guy who brought that all together kind of like exited the company, and then years later the others left as well? It's not unheard of.
Yeah, it's not unheard of once the product has already been established and it's like successful and it's like, you know what I mean? Like Palmer Luckey, they launched the CV1. It was a successful thing. He got bumped for nothing to do with like he didn't want to leave. He wasn't planning on leaving at that point in time. That was like a random thing. I honestly think this is pretty bizarre in my opinion, because I've never seen like they don't have a successful, like they're still a startup. Jay, what do you think? I mean, aren't they still a startup? Like they don't have a successful product.
But if you can imagine the amount of pressure and hype that they've created around the company, I think in some way, I think this could actually be a good thing, where they're trying to press the reset switch at the highest end, where he's been the interface to the media. And if the product has been now kind of seen as a failure, like they haven't developed anything close to what they promised, what can they do? Like, can they just say, well, we'll go back in time? And no, like there's a way to move forward. And the way to move forward is sometimes, unfortunately, you need to swap out people. And this time it's the guy at the top. So it kind of makes sense to me. I think maybe now we can, in the months to come, we can maybe hear like a new direction from Magic Leap, where maybe they're going to get serious. Maybe we'll start to hear about.
Get serious, yeah. After about $3 billion of investment, maybe they ought to get a little bit serious.
Well, remember when there were Magic Leap stores being talked about? Like they were going to the public with this product as something that was ready for retail. So they did come out with a thing. It just didn't work. Marketplace that they tried to sell it. So now they're revamping and selling it to as an enterprise device. They're just giving up on the whole retail thing. But they did try.
There's something that kind of bugs me when a company has to switch from a consumer out-facing product to enterprise level product, where they're saying we're only going to cater now to other high level industries. And it's just unfortunate. You get so excited about a product like Magic Leap. Like I was right with Anthony about the beginning of augmented reality. It was Magic Leap was everybody's greatest hope, and the stuff that they were showing was beyond next level. So if they had have delivered on like a half or a quarter of what they promised, we would all have Magic Leap AR glasses right now for an affordable price and be living this cool AR future. And it's still coming. It's just not. I don't think Magic Leap is going to be a leader, maybe, but I don't think they're out of it. They're not out of it completely.
Yeah. Nreal seems to be the leader at this point, as far as consumer level AR is concerned. They're the ones coming out with a product that actually meets the form factor and the price level that people are expecting.
Is that a $500 price point, Chris? Was that around $500-ish, Mark?
I think so. It's certainly not what they were selling Magic Leap for, or HoloLens, for that matter.
Yeah,
it was sub 1,000. I think it's actually closer to $1,000 for the development kit that they're selling now, and the one that's going to plug into your phone, which isn't available yet, that'll be the one that's below $1,000.
I think that's the way to go. When you can leverage a processor you've already got, whether it's a phone or whether it's a PC or whether it's a PlayStation 5, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you can have a brand new next level VR headset that uses this awesome processing, awesome memory. It's just, and when they try to pack all that in one unit, we're not there yet. Like that's where we're maybe 10 years away from having next generation processors and batteries that can just fit inside of like the form factor of regular eyeglasses.
Wait a minute. Actually,
versus this giant.
I was just going to say that we have some interesting Qualcomm stuff that we're going to get into a little bit later in the show today. Also about the Panasonic glasses and like this era of XR. These XR glasses, like these thin clients where you basically have a real lightweight headset and then it's connected to your smartphone through a USB-C cable. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to be bouncing around through these topics because I got everything playing in my head twice. It's like very hard for me to do this show, but we're going to move on. And I want to talk a little bit about this PlayStation 5 thing. Okay, so this upcoming Thursday, we are going to get a breakdown of the first wave, basically, of PlayStation 5 games. You can see this June 4th, 1 p.m. Pacific time. This Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific, Sony is going to have a special event. It is going to last a little bit over an hour, and it's the future of gaming. So this unveil of PlayStation 5, like, I'm not keeping track of things. I'm not watching. This is the first time in like the last 30 something years that I haven't cared about the big consoles that are coming out. Like, seriously, like, this is the first time in like 30 something years that I have not given a rat's ass about the big consoles coming out. And the reason why I don't care about them is because I'm a VR guy, right? I've caught the VR bug. I've got so much time in my day, and I've only got like so many hours of discretionary time that I could use to play a game. So it's all VR all the time. Now, part of that is because I'm like the YouTube guy. I'm doing VR. I got a website. And so it's like I kind of have to do it. But if I was still just a total, like I was never on YouTube, never had a website, never doing any of this stuff, I'd still probably primarily be a VR guy, but I might be a little bit more interested in stuff like PlayStation 5. But this is coming this Thursday. And from the VR angle, my question is, are we going to get anything in this conference next Thursday that has anything to do with VR whatsoever? Chris, I'm going to go to you first. What's your excitement level for PS5? What do you think is going to happen this Thursday? Anything VR?
I think we're going to get nothing, sir. I think that if they were planning on going that route, they would have told us. They would have been trying to get that hype train going for it. But I think you've made very great points in the past. They don't have their new VR solution ready for this launch. So why would they go there? They are going to be focused primarily on that flat market, the market that's getting them the most dollars. And until PSVR is ready to be released, why introduce anything that's going to muddy the waters of what it is you're going to be spending? You're going to spend $500-$400 on a new platform and then pay more for something else? We're just not going to get that news.
Yeah, Jay, what about you? I don't remember if you have any, if you ever screwed with PlayStation VR or not. What is your thoughts on like console VR and this upcoming PlayStation 5 and Xbox? Do you care about any of this stuff?
Yeah, I do, big time. I'm gonna buy PlayStation 5 day one, no matter what. Really excited for this event, and I'm gonna hope that they have a pre-order at the end of it. I think they're gonna run this demo for an hour, and then at the end they'll say, "Go and reserve one if you'd like. I want to be right there, so I get mine as early as possible." It's my fantasy to hear that they're also going to release PlayStation VR 2 at the same time as PlayStation 5, but I'm pegging that at maybe like a 15%, 20% possibility. I think the reality is I would agree with what Chris, and I think with your previous sentiments, Anthony, that it's too much money, too much ask to the consumer at one point to say we're gonna say 500, maybe more, $500 for a console plus an additional $400-$500 for a next level generation PSVR 2 headset. I would love it. I would buy it all. I would gobble it up instantly. I just bought a brand new TV. I just bought a brand new LG 65 OLED B9, and I know that's going to mate perfectly with the PS5.
So
I actually, yeah, go ahead.
No, Jay. So why buy one of these things? So you're playing flat games on a regular basis. Like, how do you divide your time up between VR and flat? And was it ever a time where you were like, okay, I'm all in VR, and then you kind of realize VR's not there quite now, so I got to like go back to flat a little bit and mix flat and VR? Or were you always like a mix and match guy?
I'm a mix and match guy, and because of that, like a buffet, I'll pick just like the best things from each side. So I've played, in my opinion, like the best VR games that have come to market. Half-Life Alyx, Boneworks, Asgard's Wrath. I'm forgetting what was the robot flying VR that was. Anyways, I figured I'm gonna play the best VR games when they're there. Ford Man. That's exactly it. Thank you.
Like
Thank
robot
you.
flying. Oh yeah, Stormland.
I know. And with the hands always picks up. So yeah, I'm looking forward now to again, like the next jump, like the next leap, like I'm like the next Medal of Honor VR game. Like I'm playing the AAA stuff in VR, and I guess I'm saying how I balance out the time is I'll only play the best VR games right now, and then when I'm not doing that, like there seems to be a lull right now, I'll play flat games.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, I want to go back to you. So, one of the things I've been complaining about for like the last several months, I've been complaining about how I feel like Sony has like abandoned their PlayStation VR people. I mean, not abandoned them, but they basically said, okay, third parties, Gorn, Saints and Sinners, all these different games that are coming. It's all third parties, right? They have Iron Man. That's like the only thing they had. Iron Man was supposed to be last Christmas's big game. Now it's coming on July 3rd, so it's their big summer thing. But like whenever I brought up this topic, everybody would always say, dude, PlayStation 5, man, PlayStation 5. So okay, PlayStation 5. Okay, so you're telling me PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5. So what am I going to see? What PlayStation 5 thing is going to mean anything to a VR person? Like, what's going on here, man? I don't get it.
Well, my take on it is that the PSVR needs to be a Quest killer. It needs to be able to be a standalone device that you can plug into a PSVR to get higher tier games for me to really be concerned about it. Because at this point, setting up cameras and dealing with the whole mess, I loaned my PSVR out and just recently got it back in a bag because it was like, whoa, Iron Man is the demo's out. I want to try that. So I bugged a friend and said, can you bring that back to me? But like for a month, that thing hasn't been turned on in my house for like 5 months. The PS5 or PS4, the only reason I turned it on is because I had a DVD I wanted to play. It's like that thing is it's to me, I know there are great games for it. I know there are like fantastic flat games, but like I had gotten bored with them, and it took VR to drag me back into gaming like hard. So
yeah, but Chris, okay, wait. Here's my question though. My question is, what is Sony gonna do? Like basically, my question is this: just put yourself in the mind of Sony. You've got this VR platform that you brought out in October of 2016. Okay, so it's been around for 3 full years. It's going to hit its 4th full year later this year in October. Don't they have some kind of responsibility to deliver continued content to that platform? And they do have Iron Man for the summer. And I know they have the third parties, and they're lucky. They're lucky that there are so many third-party, their PC VR indie companies that would love to bring their games to PlayStation VR. So that has worked out great for them. But don't they have some kind of responsibility? And my question is, this Thursday, are we going to see some of that responsibility? Are they going to have a PlayStation 5 game that is a VR game, but it's PlayStation 5? Like, just yes or no, answer it.
No.
Oh my God.
No. No. I say hard no, simply because they hedged their bets when they did PSVR in the first place. They used that Move controller system that was from, an earlier iteration of, interactive gaming. So like everything about PSVR was kind of cobbled together to impact them the least as far as costs that they'd have to outlay. They used the camera they already had. They used the Move controllers they already had. All they did was come up with a display system. And they did a pretty good job at that. And it was the most popular VR item for a long time. But now the Quest has eaten its lunch. And if they don't bounce back with a Quest-like device, I don't see the point.
Yeah.
That's my take on that.
Well, you're thinking PlayStation VR 2. Like, I'm not even there yet, man. That's next year, or it's like the year afterwards. I'm just thinking.
Well, I think all their resources should be focused on that. And I'm along with your ex pals, the guys who were saying, dude, they're focusing on PS5 and they don't have time to do it right now. I would hope that they're focusing on PSVR 2 to be that hybrid device, and all their juice has to go into that. And telling us about that early, I don't think works, because do you really want to be told about something you're not going to be able to get your hands on for another year or two?
Yeah. Okay. Jay, regarding Sony and PlayStation VR 1, I mean, it's basically the same question for you. They brought out this platform. They have PlayStation VR 1. They have an Iron Man bundle this summer, right? It's like $350. It comes with Move and Iron Man and all. I mean, they're asking people to go to Walmart and Costco and these different places and buy a big PlayStation VR bundle, yet they don't have a big Blood and Truth game for them to play this December, and like it's all PlayStation 5 all the time, right? So don't they need something for like a VR nut job like me to want PlayStation 5? Because right now, like, I know you're buying a PlayStation 5 day one. I have no reason to buy one. All I play is VR. So if they don't give me a VR reason, why would I drop $500 plus tax when I really need a new graphics card?
What if the reason is that you're able to hook in the PSVR 1 to the PS5, and it just makes the games explode? Where in the past you were tethered. You've mentioned this. It's a weakness of the PSVR 1 that you're tethered to that 90-degree front-facing experience, really. Like, you can turn and it does its best. But I'm with Chris that if they come out with a true hybrid headset that's using in-out tracking that you can actually disconnect and use fully wirelessly, oh, wow. Like, that is the dream. And I think I want to hear about that. Even if it's going to be a year or 2 years out, I'll wait and with bated breath. But I think there's going to be, I think they'll mention some kind of a connection to VR with the PS5 announcement on June 4th. I think they'll have some kind of either a teaser demo or some kind of something related specifically to their next level VR stuff that they've been working on. Now, to answer your specific question, shouldn't they have stuff to carry over the PSVR 1 people? I agree that they shouldn't just abandon them. But there's at some point, generations stop. Like, at one point they stopped making PS2 games. They started making only PS3 and PS4 plus games. I think it's time now that we've seen the next generation, and I can't wait. I'm ready to hop back on to the console generation, specifically with the idea of PSVR 2 being like just being a Quest killer, and maybe just being the best VR experience out there is going to be on a PS5 and the PSVR 2.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited about PlayStation VR 2. Like, hell yeah. I just don't think it has anything to do with this calendar year that I'm standing in right now. And I'm thinking of people on PlayStation VR subreddit. Like, there's people that, I mean, I guess the good news is if you just bought an Iron Man PlayStation VR, you've got the back catalog. You've got Astrobot and all these games that have, Resident Evil 7. You got all that back catalog, Wipeout, and a lot of those games are dirt cheap and stuff. But there's got to be a few PlayStation VR diehards, though, that don't have anything else. I've always had this dream, actually, and I still have this dream of being stranded on a deserted island with nothing but PlayStation VR and all the PlayStation VR games and whatever internet that I possibly need, because I honestly believe somebody could have a PlayStation VR and that's all they have, and they could still really enjoy what VR is bringing. I mean, they've got Saints and Sinners, they've got Gorn, they've got Beat Saber, they've got Audica, they've got games like, you know, Ghost Giant, then they got games at Farpoint and stuff, Astrobot, Resident Evil 7, like just to play that whole entire catalog and just be like, I'm just PlayStation VR, man. That's all I got. It's all I care about, you know, and just like be a PlayStation VR guy. But like for a person like that, they're being starved this year, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, maybe on Thursday they show some incredible freaking Naughty Dog VR. What if there was Naughty Dog VR, $59.99, but you gotta buy a PlayStation 5, but it works with your PlayStation 1. You put that little camera up there, you let it shower down upon you, but it's using the power of the PlayStation 5, and it's freaking, you know, Uncharted VR. Naughty Dog. I said Naughty Dog VR, huh? I meant to say like Uncharted, like an Uncharted VR. It's like a 4-hour experience, but it's Uncharted VR. That, something that big, like, fuck, Naughty Dog made a freaking VR game, and it requires PlayStation 5. Yeah, it uses the old crappy PlayStation VR 1, but damn, now I have a reason to spend $500. Jay, you don't think they might do something like that?
I think the odds are low. My hopes are that they embrace this as a way to bring in more people to VR. PSVR has brought in more customers than anybody to virtual reality, and why they wouldn't keep that ball rolling with some kind of connection to PS5 to the next level of VR. I think they're dropping the ball if they don't have something to make people like you happy and make even just new players that are coming in just to hear about PlayStation 5, and they finally get to hear about a PS VR 2 that's wireless, that can leverage all the processing power and memory that the PS5 can offer, and that super fast SSD. We could be looking at like the next generation of VR could be announced June 4th. I just think the odds are low. My hopes and dreams are with you. I hope that they do say something. But yeah, I think the odds are low.
Yeah.
And isn't Insomniac the company that they just bought?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So like they are, you know, they have all that experience of building VR games for Oculus that are just sitting there. One would hope that it's going into some sort of VR product, but I just can't see it being the janky old PSVR 1 that they're working on. They're working on the next thing. But they're
stuck, man. They're like, yeah, see, a lot of people are like, yeah, I just don't see them messing around with the old, you know, mixing the old busted with their brand new PlayStation 5. Like, it just seems wrong. But here's the thing. I know it seems wrong, but what if there's like a 2-year gap between PlayStation 5 and whatever their next VR headset's going to be? What if there's a 2-year gap? They can't just go 2 years with like having this like elephant in the room and not addressing it. So it's going to be the Sega 32X. I'm sorry to say it. We're looking at Sega 32X here, baby.